Hello and welcome back to the latest episode. I believe it's episode 4 of Shields and Heels, your two favorite mouthy broads. I'm Monica Cafferati, and this here is the lovely Miss... Oh, sorry, I spoke for you.
Hey, that's okay. And I'm Morgan Garcia, and today we are going to talk about, has America fallen into authoritarianism, and how do the recent Supreme Court rulings affect that and apply to that?
And this isn't to scare you, but you need to be informed, and there's always good news, and there's always ways to fight about it. But if you don't, or fight against it, but if you don't know, you can't. And again, this is just our opinions, so please don't yell at us. Everyone's entitled. So far, we'll see.
So far, you're entitled to your own opinion.
And also, as a preliminary, please subscribe and like. We're growing our channel, and we're happy to have you here on our journey. So please like and subscribe.
Yes, and we welcome all different beliefs and thoughts, and
Absolutely.
have open discussion in the comments. Let us know what you think about any of the things
Absolutely.
that we're speaking on.
And if you want to hear us speak on something else or discuss certain topics, let us know.
Okay, so authoritarianism essentially is, concentration of power, fewer checks, thinner rights, and essentially limiting what you as a person have the ability to do in your everyday life without facing punishment.
Think of a king and everything we stand against as America, everything we fought against in creating our country.
Yeah.
So that's a good
America
start.
is a country right now. The founders fled the king's rule, and now we are here. But yet, are we subjecting ourselves back to that same rule?
There's more of us. There's more of us who don't agree. I don't agree, in case anybody didn't know. But there's more of us. But it's a complex issue. There's rigging of the game. And I know that's a polarizing word, depending on who uses it. But it doesn't mean that it's not happening. In certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Certain areas by certain people. And you just got to pay attention. So anyways... we're going to kind of talk about that, and I think we're going to focus on the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment today. There's lots of that. Well, not lots of amendments; they're finite as of now, always expanding, but
or diminishing,
or what?
Or diminishing now.
True.
We haven't seen it before, but we might.
I know. See, look, I'm conditioned, and we should be. This is what America stands for, and we will always fight for that. So, where do you want to start us?
I think I want to start with. Why are we even asking the question if America has fallen into an authoritarianism? Because most people, when you think about America, they think freedom, democracy.
Yeah.
And, this question is becoming more and more prevalent.
You can become anything you want. We were taught that as children. You can do anything you want. It's the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's becoming the land of opportunity for the ultra rich now. Unfortunately.
Yep. And so this thought has been, a concern for scholars, activists, commentators, a lot more recently because there is high polarization. There is attacks on your freedom of speech. There's attacks on
your civil liberties, your rights.
The judiciary were supposed to be a formation of checks and balances, but that is coming to a halt.
Yeah.
They are undoing the checks and balances and the separation, essentially.
Right. When you get people that will support one ideology or one person, those checks and balances go away. And we're almost there. I mean, as we sit right now, this isn't a testament to the American people because the presidency and Congress are fully, authoritarian. The Supreme Court has a majority, which is backing them up too. So we are in a really bad spot. However, we are persisting, and it will get better. There's been lots of elections lately, and they've all gone to, regardless of your political affiliation, what the candidates stand for, the Democratic candidates that are winning are the ones who are stand for expanding liberties and rights. And so that's why they're winning. I'm not trying to make this a Republican. I don't want to polarize this because this is important information and I want people to really listen to it. But that's just the reality of it. And Democrats are winning. And that shows that not only are Democrats voting, but independents and Republicans, because they are pushing back on this authoritarianism. And as I always say that, they essentially indoctrinated us from, I use the word indoctrination, but since we were little, that we don't bow to anybody. There's no kings. And so they really thought that they were just going to swoop in and do this and we weren't going to notice and not going to push back. So anyways, for what it's worth.
And I will say, though, is that we still are a democracy. At this point in time, we are a democracy. However, it's eroding. Yes. There are concerns about these changes into our government, every way of our laws, the enforcement, what the government can and cannot do, what law enforcement can and cannot do to you. And something we're going to get into is that the law enforcement and ICE in particular can racially profile you just
government sanction. The Supreme Court has stated an injunction, and we'll get into it like she said, but this is legal, that they can racially profile and in particular Latinos.
So Latinos and Hispanics, if you, based on the color of your skin.
If you speak Spanish, if you speak English with an accent. Does this sound American to you?
Where you work, where you are hanging out. If you are at Home Depot legitimately shopping to get something for your house, they can stop you because you are Hispanic and at Home Depot. That is what the Supreme Court has essentially said. So that is the reality we are all facing. And I do want to say that you all do have rights, and you need to know what those are.
And we'll get into that too. Oh, yes, go for it.
We have these cards here, and we have limited availability of them. So, but if you are,
but you can order them online from. I can't read that. Can you read that?
That it is ilrc.org/red /red-cards. And there's English and Spanish, so
there's multiple languages though. On the website, we ordered English and Spanish. You can even just put it up to your window when they come to your house because you don't have to open your door. We should go over, I think a big thing too is warrants. They only have administrative warrants, which you do not have to open your door for. They mean nothing essentially without your consent, as opposed to a judicial, which you do have to open and comply. So
don't open the door.
Don't open the door.
Talk to them through the door, through the window. You don't have to let them in.
If you want we'll put the website in our comments or in
the caption.
Yeah, in the caption so that you can get them. Go check it out. They're not that expensive. I think we got 1,000 cards for like $100. So they're not the cheapest, but they're not crazy expensive. But they're good to have hand out to people you know. You can get them in multiple languages. And they're good for, like I said, in your car. Just put it up and just put it up. You don't even have to say anything.
If they come to your house, so you can slide it under the door, slide it through the window. And
don't open the door though.
No,
you are
don't
not
let
required to, and you will be brutalized if you do. So don't open it.
So essentially, this is what the cards say. And these, if you have the courage and the strength to speak, you would read from the card.
And you don't have to. You can just show it to them.
You
don't have to say nothing at all. Because you have, for two reasons. You have a First Amendment right, Fifth Amendment right, not to incriminate yourself. Not that you're doing anything wrong by being Latino, but you don't have to speak to the government is the point. And second of all, their warrant, if it's administrative, which from what I've heard they've all been, they don't have any right to be there, so you don't have to talk to them. So if you feel comfortable saying something, you can, reading it, saying what you want, or don't say anything at all. And I would say, though, that I understand that emotions run high, and they piss me off too, but don't give them a reason. Keep it
calm, cool, collected. Yep. Okay, so this is what the cards say, and this is what you would say to an ICE agent or another law enforcement agency that is confronting you for some reason that you have no idea about. If it's just they're racially profiling you, whatever it is.
And can I just stop really quick, just to interject? If you're stopped in your car, as long as you can hear them and they can hear you, if you can do it with the window up, that's great. If you only do it a little bit so that you can hear, that's all you're required to do is be able to communicate. You do not have to roll it down. They will tell you to roll it down, but don't, because they're going to grab you out of the car, right? So, sorry. These are the things you want to say, but don't have to roll down the window if you're in a car to do it.
If they can hear you, you're
Put it up against the window if you have to.
It says, I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. I do not give you permission to enter my home or my vehicle based upon my Fourth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution unless you have a warrant to enter.
And that's by a judicial.
A judge.
It's in there.
Or magistrate with my name on it that you will slide to me under the door or through the window. I do not give you permission to search any of my belongings based on my Fourth Amendment right, and I choose to exercise my constitutional rights. these cards are available for citizens and non-citizens. Your constitutional rights are present.
Are not based on your citizenship, on your status. They aren't. And people want to argue they are, but they're not.
No.
If you're on our soil, we do things a certain way. We give people rights, and that's what due process is you go to court and you figure it out. So just because, you don't have, or you have a certain status, you're not a citizen, whatever, these rights still apply to you.
Yeah.
So exercise them. Don't be afraid. And don't be afraid. I've heard this a lot lately, is that they want you to think that they have all the power and you have none. And it's really the opposite, that we have the numbers. That is actually the idea behind the peaceful right to protest, which is in the First Amendment, is we have the numbers. So just remember, we're stronger.
Yep, we are. So what are the cases that you want to talk about specifically today?
Well, I was really focusing on the Fourth and First Amendment. And so the First Amendment, I don't really have a lot of cases. It's kind of just what's been going on. But the Fourth Amendment, there is a specific case. It has not been heard by the Supreme Court yet. Let's just get into it. It has to do with the Fourth Amendment. And let me pull it up. I know I have it here somewhere.
Is this Perdomo v. Nome?
No, yeah. Here it is. There we go. Yes. And so basically, I'm sure you've all seen the footage of what's going on in Los Angeles. It's awful. It's horrible. But there were a group of people who sued, saying that there was violating their Fourth Amendment rights. And the Ninth Circuit, which is an appellate court, so they took their case to a lower court, state court, and sounds like they didn't get a favorable ruling, so you have the right to appeal. That's our system. So they went to the Ninth Court, and the Ninth Court said this violates the Fourth, so we are going to put an injunction. We're just going to pause on this until we can figure out what's going on, which is, in my opinion, appropriate because the issues are so important, and then it went to the Supreme Court
on an emergency filed by the Trump administration, by the way. So Trump's administration did not want to wait for their judicial process. They
haven't noticed there's an impulse problem.
Yeah, they wanted to file an emergency because they believed that the district court, now the appellate court, have got it wrong, and he deserves emergency.
Anything that doesn't agree with him, they got it wrong.
Yes.
Yes, and so the Supreme Court stayed it, which means they just paused it. So that means that the first court that made the ruling that ICE and DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security, and ICE is Immigration and Custom Enforcement, that they could go ahead and just snatch people off the street and, as I like to say, disappear them, right? We don't know who they are. They have masks on. And this is not normal, guys. Have you ever seen this in your life? Just, think about that. And so basically what the Supreme Court of the land that tells everyone what is the law, and all our duties is to the Constitution. That is the supreme law of the land. Basically suspended temporarily the Fourth Amendment right for Latinos. By staying this case, they're saying, no, keep doing what you're doing and we'll figure it out later, which I think is just... And
essentially they're saying that we cannot have a federal nationwide injunction that...
now, they did before, but that's a whole different podcast.
We cannot have this. But you as an individual, if you are personally racially discriminated against or your rights are violated, you must go and seek to protection of your rights and sue the government.
If you want to do it together and have the effect of a nationwide injunction, do it as a class action, which they're not easy. They are not easy. I know everyone gets mad that the lawyers make so much in a class action, but they're a lot of work and they're crazy. They're big. But that's ridiculous. So that each individual person has to go. How is that? Our courts are clogged enough.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not enough time. I mean, we're obviously in law. I mean, we're in family law. But man, I tell people, when am I going to get in front of the judge? Probably a month, 2.
At least. At least.
I'll grab the date before we serve them, but still we're looking at a month and a half to 2 months. But that's just how it is. But that shows you that they're not really interested in justice.
Yeah, they're saying the government can violate your rights, even though they're supposed to abide by the Constitution. The government can violate your rights, but you now have to go and attack them in court if you want to actually,
or you have to assert your right individually, or
Yes.
if you can get together and find a class and then have it certified and go through all these hoops, then you can do it together. But if not, just do it one by one by one.
Yep.
And just take back. They're just snatching people and sending them to El Salvador. So I don't know how you're supposed to go and do that. But okay.
Yeah. So let's get into who are our players on the Supreme Court right now.
Yeah. Interesting.
And we'll let you know who our individual MVP is. And you let us know who your MVP is.
Let us know who you like and why.
Yeah. Why?
And if you don't like someone and why, let us know that too. And we're happy, if you guys want to hear about a whole podcast of just the Supreme Court going into the justices, we're happy to do that.
Their rulings, where they have changed their mind over the years. I think that's very interesting. But let's get
information that has come to light by the press, by the way, which is so important, why we have freedom of press. But First Amendment, 1A, we'll get to that later. But it all intertwines. And that's why it's so complex. So hopefully we are breaking it down a bit for you. We get excited and kind of jump around, so bear with us.
And shout out to Jimmy Kimmel, by the way.
Yes. I actually watched a little clip from him yesterday. I guess Colbert and his wife had published a cookbook. And so him and his wife, he just filmed it and said, it was like a 10-minute little clip, and he was, when I get stressed, I like to cook. So they were going through the cookbook, and this chicken looked delicious. It was like a honey chili chicken. I think I'm going to go get the cookbook now.
The cookbook.
But anyways, he's doing well, and regardless of if you like his comedy or not, that's not the point.
It's about your freedom of speech.
Yeah, he gets to say it.
And I will say, I want to, put a preface and, a warning out there, essentially, that I am not saying that I am condoning what Jimmy Kimmel said.
He didn't say anything.
But I'm just saying
what
I'm
did he
not
say?
condoning.
I condone it. He didn't say anything bad. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you.
No.
What did he say? He quoted, all he said is they had asked Trump, how are you doing? You said you're a close friend with Charlie Cook. How are you doing? And he goes, oh yeah, it's doing good. Look, hey, they're building, look at my ballroom. And he said the fourth stage of grief is construction. It was a joke. He's a comedian. He didn't say anything inappropriate. He didn't say anything bad about anybody, which would be his right.
Right, and that's what I was saying. I'm not condoning or disagreeing with anything he was saying. All I am saying, or disagree with anything that Kimmel said. All I am saying is that I support his rights. Right, we have a right to freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of opinion, and by firing him, they limited his rights under the First Amendment. And so that is all I am saying. That's why I give the shout out. I just wanted to let everybody know.
But I also want to, it's a little convoluted because he works for a private company. And so people, obviously the, First Amendment doesn't apply to private companies. It's only the government that can't tell you. However, that connecting factor is here is that the FCC chairman, which is the Federal Communications Commission, they're the ones who, if you say the F word on primetime TV, you get fined. They're those people. He came out on a podcast, Benny Johnson, and basically said that, we'll do it the hard way or the easy way. And they were looking to merge, which is another thing that happened with Colbert. Big companies looking to merge, you need FCC approval. And so they're getting the message that it will not be approved if you do not air the content they want. That is a violation of the First Amendment because it's the government entity telling a private entity, you need to do this in order to get something from us. And that's where the 1A or the First Amendment violation comes into place because private companies can do whatever they want. Like I heard so much when Elon Musk bought Twitter that, he's saving the First Amendment. And it's like, well, you don't understand what the First Amendment is because private companies can say, we refuse your business, and that's fine. There's no law against that. But it's when the government does it. And why is that? Because they have the authority to jail you. They have the authority to, jail you, essentially.
Yes.
And
limit your rights, right? To where it's like if a private company does it, they can fire you or delete your account, but you still have that right to go out and say whatever you want to say, right? But
Right.
when the government steps in, that's
Yes.
that's a problem. So now we have a federal agency that has come in and had issue about Kimmel. And so
Yes.
now we have the government that is
They said
limiting.
if you want your thing approved, your merger approved, then you fire him because he's saying mean things about the president.
Yeah, speaking of which, we're watching you, Disney.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, what's on my list I need to cancel? I'm like, oh, I don't subscribe to any of those anyways. I'm good. But that is an important thing thank you for bringing that up because economic power is huge. It was used in the civil rights movement in the 60s. Remember the Coca-Cola
Yes.
and the bus? The African American community would walk for miles to and from work and not give the company, or well, buses are usually run by the local government, not to give their money. And it worked. Your speech, well, okay, so this is another thing, is the Supreme Court years ago said that Citizens United that money is speech and corporations have speech. But we all know there's a wealth gap, so it's uneven. But you do have power through what you buy and what you purchase, and that's all they freaking care about, to be honest. And so hit them where it hurts. If you don't like what they're doing, don't give them your money. There are plenty out there. And I will say that I used to be a news junkie, corporate news junkie. I don't watch any of it anymore. I'm on YouTube. I watch independent media. So much more informative because nobody is limiting them. There's no corporate overlords, all of that.
That's a little bit, that's touchy because...
What's touchy?
About these independent people because they are actually being paid for by other, administration or other people, other agencies. For example,
but they do subscription.
But so
they do have people pay them to advertise for them, but they vet their companies. They're not they're not any hateful or anything they don't agree with.
Right.
Which I understand what you're saying. So then it's like a bias, but it doesn't affect what they report. And that's the issue. So, they're not going to advertise any company that says, if you report this, we're not going to advertise with you. Then don't advertise.
Well, no, this is what I mean, is that Charlie Kirk was offered $150 million from Israel for who knows what it was for, but he declined it.
When?
Right? I think it was like in the past couple of months.
What do you mean for who knows what? Where did you I need more on that.
Yeah, this is known. I got this from Candace Owens. And by the way,
Candace Owens,
PBD,
seriously?
Patrick Bet David.
She's nuts. But
no, but her stuff on Kirk is actually pretty good. And
she's also being sued because she said Macron's wife, the First Lady of France, is a man. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's fucked up. That is.
Okay, but okay, Patrick Bet David, who is on the same side of the aisle as Candace Owens, he has now turned his back on her and said that she has not talked to Charlie Kirk for years, right? And so where would he get this idea? And she is so offended because they were buddies. And so it's like, oh, so now that she's calling out the fact that Kirk turned down $150 million from Israel because he was
well, we may have to do a whole show on that because I want to know what that's about.
But this is all I was saying. It was that essentially these independent media people as well are being bought by certain people.
I will tell you who I watch. I watch Midas Touch, and Legal AF. Who else do I like? Oh, I've Had It. You've got to watch those ladies. They're the best. They live in Oklahoma City. You'd be surprised. They're fantastic. I love them. And I agree with you that they are, but it's a different structure than in corporate America.
Yes, very different.
They can choose who they advertise to get revenue because everything costs money. That's understandable. But they're not going to take money from people who
they don't
suppress our rights or do hate
that they
speech,
don't agree with.
You can say hate speech. You can't incite violence, but you're allowed to be hateful. But they don't agree with it, and they're allowed to do that. So I still think that
private media is better because they can.
And they're still talking about what they want to talk, whereas CNN or Fox or MSNBC, they're told you can't talk about this, you can talk about this. So I think it's a bit of a different structure.
Yeah.
So I really highly recommend independent media, and I understand that you're be careful of both, but if you're gonna choose, pick independent.
Yes, okay, I agree with that
because you gotta get your information somewhere. And Midas Touch, I love them. They have leaders from Canada, from all over the world. They've just expanded. I think it's what would be the equivalent of a mayor or a governor in one of the provinces there. That he just expanded and is doing something there. They invited Jimmy Kimmel to do a show there.
Interesting.
They're next eyeing Australia. But I really like them because they just tell you what the cases are, what the news is, footage from people. Anyways, so I do understand your point,
Yes.
but I don't want to discourage people from independent media because I still think it's better than corporate America. They are basically, if you notice when you watch it, and I used to go through this, but I ignored it, was they talk about the same thing over and over because that's what they're told to talk about. And it's nice that independent media, they don't talk about the same thing over and over unless it comes back up or unless it's an issue that needs to,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, back to the point. Let's introduce the players of the Supreme Court, and we'll let you know who our MVP is. So let's start with the Chief Justice. We have John Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts.
Who is obviously an attorney, right? Although in this administration, you never know anymore who they're appointing. But anyways, corporate America guy.
Yeah,
corporate attorney. So take what you will of that, but he was a big advocate for corporations.
And so he was nominated by President Bush. He went to Harvard, and he is known a lot for tight statutory readings, a lot of skepticism of agency leeway. He
confirmed in 2005.
Yep. So I don't know. So he's an institutionalist type of chief.
Which brings me, I'm sorry, I said the confirmation, like that the Senate confirms they have they vet them and they have to confirm them or not. The Republicans in the Senate just passed a new rule that they don't have to do that anymore. And matter of fact, they just pushed through 50 at a time, one vote. 50 judges, no hearings on them, no nothing.
Individualized.
Yeah, and so the Senate and House rules are important too, and that's a whole nother subject, but this is why we're here. It's so complex and it's so convoluted, but it's all weaved together. Back to what you were saying, but I just think it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. That, oh my gosh, there's so much going on that
I know my little ADHD brain just wants to like pop around and talk about everything, but I'll try to
you just need
keep it together.
The thing is just keep your eyes open, listen, pay attention, because this is it's an unprecedented time of the United States. Things that are happening in our government and in our Supreme Court have never happened before. So please be aware.
Like
pay attention.
Presidential immunity, we all were like, oh, he's asking for that. And then when they granted the oral argument, I mean, we were all horrified and we all saw what came of that. Things are happening that have never happened before. And I just have to point out a lot of these justices are constitutional originalist,
quote unquote,
supposedly.
unless you are a minority, then
they're just ripping it. They're just like, no, it doesn't apply anymore. So how is that adhering to the original text?
It's because they're applying it selectively. If you are brown, if you are Latino, if you are black, if you are Asian, whatever it is, it doesn't apply to you because this administration doesn't want it to apply to you. And so they're following that. And we have never seen that in the American history.
No.
Never.
I feel like they're judging cases and making rulings based on their own personal opinions. And anybody who knows in law or anything, and if you don't, will inform you, that is a huge no-no.
Yep.
A judge is unbiased. They are...
to set their own beliefs aside.
Yes, they listen to what the arguments are and they make a decision weighing both sides.
What the law
and of course,
says.
everybody has personal opinions. Everybody. But you don't bring it into a ruling.
Yep. And they have to...
But they are.
Yes. They have to base it on what does the law say. What is that word? What does that word mean? What did they mean when they said that?
And historically, and what was the Congress's intention
Which
on
they're
that?
actually doing away with, by the way.
What do you mean?
Not turning to legislative intent and that the judge is to rule it based on what they think it means.
Well, that's another erosion of the separation of powers and the checks and balances, because part of deciding if a congressional... So when Congress enacts a law, that's called a statute. Right? And so when they enact a statute and somebody says, well, this is discriminatory or whatever reason that they say this isn't constitutional and they take it to the Supremes are supposed to look at it and based on the text of the Constitution decide. But if they are...
what they're telling the judges that you make the decision. You don't look to legislative history.
Thank you. Legislative intent. I got a little sidetracked. But that's part of the analysis is like, well... Congress has the power to do this, and we're not going to interfere with that. We'll interpret if it violates the Constitution, but we need to know why they did. And if you can research it on the internet, it's not part of the order, but or sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but there is a process, at least at the lower courts, and you look at the intent behind it, and the court is supposed to take that into consideration because they're supposed to defer to that branch's authority. And only say where it's not clear or this is something that's being interpreted different in the country. That's where they call the balls and the strikes. But they're not supposed to say, well, I don't believe in this, so we're just going to strike it down. Because we all have difference of opinion, but we're all allowed to, and that's the point. If you don't like it, don't do it. Simple
but anyway,
as
that adds to, has America fallen to an authoritarianism?
We're on the road. We're on the road.
It's just, key reminder, keep that in mind. Let's finish going through these justices and we'll get through the cases.
I always get sidetracked.
At the end of this video, I want you to let us know, have we fallen into authoritarianism? Are we on the road? And
why do you think that?
Yeah. And
if you don't, why do you think that?
Yeah. Is this line of thought, crazy? Are people, exaggerating or making this something else? And why do you think that is? What about this administration, even though it has been unprecedented, things that have never been seen in the United States, why do you think that is okay?
Right. Why all of a sudden is everyone just turning on a dime and going, oh, we're going this direction now?
Yep.
When we never did that before, where we had thought and discussion and debate.
And it was always about more rights, more ability to be yourself.
And that's the thing is that the court and they're supposed to expand rights, not restrict them.
And now they're
that's concerning. And if you haven't realized that, that's okay. But I challenge you to think about that a little bit and to look into it a little deeper and to see if that's the way you want our country to go.
Yep.
And if you do, then that's your right. But I think you also need to be honest about what your ideology is. That's all. Do
you believe in freedom? Do you believe in freedom for everybody, or do you believe in freedom who like you and align with you and are the same race as you?
That's not American values.
That's not America.
You're free to hate anybody you want, but you're not free to say that we have to legislate or the court
and that other people don't deserve the same rights as you. That's not what we're about.
No, you can say you can't come in my house. I don't like you.
I don't want to be friends with you or associate with you. That's fine.
Matter of fact, I can say hateful things to you, and that's fine.
Yep.
But
you have that right.
But we can't legislate that or have the court create laws
that say that you're less than because of the color of your skin or the accent that you speak with. Give me a break.
And I feel like a lot of people are voting that way, and it's sad, but they're entitled to it.
Turn yourself inward.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, am I thinking as a free person who wants freedom? Or am I thinking of somebody who has biases, judging other people because I don't like the way they are speaking? How does that affect you?
And I think a lot of people, when they vote and these things that are happening and the laws that are created because of that, is that it doesn't affect me. So it doesn't matter.
It'll affect you soon.
It will affect you soon.
You think that you're above it, but it'll come.
Well, and I was talking, we can get into it later, but there's that famous poem that was written after the Holocaust about how first they came for it. And should this be a good time to read it?
Yeah.
I just think it really highlights how the descent goes. Like, you descend pretty quickly into this.
Yep. And you think it's not about you, but it will be.
And it's
soon
not
enough.
at first, but then it eventually. And so there's this famous poem, and it was written by, after World War II, by a Lutheran pastor. And it's called First They Came For. And first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I'm not socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I'm not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that is what is at stake here, because it always goes down that road. And I think that's just a really brilliant way to highlight that. And so just think about that. And because I just feel like with people I know and like just watching on, the news and everything, unless it affects you, they don't care. For instance, I know I'm getting way off topic here, but I've been seeing a lot about the farmers lately, and a lot of them voted for what they're getting right now. And China is zero in soybeans. They used to, I think, be our biggest. Whatever. But I don't feel sorry for them. We bailed them out during the first Trump administration, and they voted him again. So my vote is And I don't care if our grocery
And
store
they're
aisles
deporting
are
all their workers. Like,
yeah. And I don't care if our grocery store aisles are empty, because I just don't believe in
this is what you asked for.
yeah, and which, by the way, is socialism. Anyways, but I also, with the FDA, like, they're not going to test for listeria anymore, for all these things. So I've been telling my husband, I think people are going to start doing their own. Maybe community gardens will come back. But I'm like, we should look into growing our own food, because I don't trust it anymore.
I have seen that
and it's probably cheaper.
That there is an intention to limit the types of seed and growing you are allowed to do as an individual without like permits. Yes, I have seen discussions of this. So by the way,
that's a perfect example
they
of
want to
how
control you.
Yes, you come up with your own solution, and then they just restrict that. And that is a perfect example from that, is that it'll eventually get to you.
Yep, you think that you have these freedoms, you can own your own land, grow your own fruits and vegetables. No. Be careful, because we're not going to allow that either. Okay.
Anyways, back to the Supremes.
Back to the Supremes. Let's next up on the roster, we've got Justice Thomas. So he is from, where did Mr. Thomas go to school? He went to Yale. He went to Yale. He was appointed by George W. Bush, just like Roberts was.
And we all know that was a big thing in the 90s, with his hearings and all of that, which Biden actually was the Senate leader on that commission or whatever. I don't have all the specifics here, but nobody's perfect. But if I had to pick between the two, I'd pick Biden. Thomas is he didn't speak for 10 years. He never spoke during oral arguments, because the justices, how oral arguments work is that each party gets a certain amount of time and they get to make their case.
We have Justice Samuel Alito.
Jr.
Yep, Jr. He was appointed by George W. Bush.
Which we're as we're discovering, or we knew, and now we're all discussing, W got a lot in. He appointed quite a few. Yeah, and his dad got Thomas in.
But
no, he did. Oh, his dad did? You are correct. But I will say that with Alito, I've heard recently that he had another pick in mind, but there was like the Heritage Foundation and all of those who pressured him to, they were playing the long game, and we were seeing that play out. So know that it's not all just a president's pick. There's many people behind the scenes, and he was pressured not, and I wish I knew offhand who he wanted to pick. I've seen, documentaries on it before, but he had other people in mind, but he was told no by the powers that be. And that should tell you something. The powers that be over a president said, no, we need this. And this is the long game they were playing, and it's playing out. So, sorry.
Yep. So we have another Yale law school graduate.
Yale and Harvard.
That'll give you two. There's going to be one Supreme Court justice out of all 9 that did not go to Harvard or Yale. Just one.
Who?
Just one. We'll get to her.
Oh,
it's a her.
It's a her.
It is a her.
Oh, I know. Okay, we'll get there.
All right. And so for Alito, what do we know about Alito other than the fact that he's an aggressive skeptic?
Well, I mean, I think it's very interesting that he had, him and his wife had a confrontation with a neighbor, and he flew a flag after January 6th that was like a symbol of the insurrectionists. And obviously that's a huge no-no for judges. Judges are impartial, and they can't even have the mere appearance of impropriety, which means they cannot have even looking like they're being inappropriate. Not even if they're not, they can't even look like it. And that has been long-standing, and it still applies to lower judges. He said, oh, my wife put it up, which, I mean, my husband works for the federal government, and we cannot put any political signs up in the yard, and I'm fine with that, or wherever.
But they make it clear.
They would have a fit if he's like, well, my wife did it, because, he...
Well, you can blame
I'm a hot one. You can't control me much.
Blame it on the woman. It's fine.
Right. But it just goes to show that it's not really, I mean, that would constitute a mere appearance, but it was just washed over because we're so polarized.
I know. All right, let's move on. This is going to be my MVP. This is my girl. Sonia Sotomayor, Justice Sotomayor. She was appointed by President Barack Obama in 2009. She also went to Yale. Again, another
Harvard
Yale.
and Yale, I'm telling you.
And she is
Which
known,
we should have smart people. I'm not
Yes.
saying, but Harvard's got a lot of evil people coming out of it when it's a different subject, different time, different podcast. But
Yeah.
I digress.
Sotomayor, she is known as the people's justice. She is the
She's very smart.
She's the dissenter. She is the current day.
She's a champion of the people.
Yes, of Ginsburg, right? And so because
I think she filled that
Ginsburg,
void.
Yep,
Yeah.
she filled that void.
Which is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was who got a lot of like the equal rights for women, a lot of cases. She argued in front of the Supreme Court before she was a justice.
Yep.
But
RGB was a strong women's rights. Sotomayor is a strong minority ethnicity rights fighter.
When that's what we need in this moment.
It's exactly what we need, yes. So every single time, thank God, there is always somebody on the Supreme Court that is going to dissent when...
Thank God for now.
Yeah, that is going to dissent when the rest are ready to pull your rights away.
And it's good for history.
Yes.
And the court, as we've seen, it's all complex and all vast and all, but they've changed over time. And when you see those dissents, it becomes the majority later.
Mm-hmm.
So they're important. Dissents have so dissent is I disagree. I disagree with the ruling, and they have no legal weight. Like, they're just saying, I don't agree with this ruling, but it is important for history, for the record, for those voices to be heard. And as we've seen in the past, it's usually expanded rights, and those dissents have become the majority. Whereas now, we're in limbo now, but but that's why you got to stay strong and got to keep fighting, right? But yeah, I love Sonia Sotomayor. She's great.
She's my
so
MVP.
Intelligent. I'm torn between her and Ketanji Jackson. I love Ketanji because
we haven't gotten to her yet.
Oh, sorry. We
haven't gotten to her.
And she's new, and she just embraced it. And
Anyway, so I have made my draft pick. That is going to be Justice Sotomayor. And it sounds like your draft pick might be Justice.
I don't know. I'm torn between
Jackson.
the two. I think that they are both important voices, and I think that they both have... in my opinion, they interpret the law correctly and passionately at times, and for the expansion of rights, whether they agree with it or not. Yeah, and that's why I like it. And Kagan, I like her too, but
Kagan's next up.
She's a little more.
Why don't you tell us about Kagan?
I don't know much about her. She just seems to be a little more reserved, and so she doesn't get as much attention. But I think that, let's see, where did she go to?
She went to Harvard. She was appointed by Obama in 2010.
And she's a good justice, but I feel like she doesn't have the passion that Sotomayor does, and Ketanji Jackson as well. Although I think she tries
Latina justice all the way.
I think she tries to maybe not be too passionate, because unfortunately when you have passion is either viewed as good or bad in the society,
and here let me just
depending on your view, which is
when you have a woman of color,
which all three of them are.
Yes. If you have a woman, especially a woman of color, who expresses passion or a fight for something, she is now the enemy in our American society right now. She is the enemy. She is aggressive. She is the problem. Why? That is something that is prevalent around our country, and that might be why Kagan is quiet, because she doesn't want to be
I just think her personality. And maybe, but I think that she is vocal on her views. I just think that's her personality. I think she's just a little more reserved. And I don't know a lot about her, maybe because she's not quite in the spotlight like that.
Yeah. But maybe if she wasn't in the spotlight.
I'm an Italian woman, so, passions run high. So maybe I just relate more to that. And I don't think Ketanji Jackson is necessarily passionate on that level like Sonia Mayor is.
No, this is Elena Kagan.
She is so fucking smart.
Kagan?
And she...
you said Ketanji Jackson.
That's what I'm talking about. No, I was...
Oh, flip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was saying that, for me, my two MVP split is those two, and I think Sotomayor is more passionate than Ketanji Brown Jackson, and I think that may just be a personality thing.
Yeah.
But I think that she's very...
With Jackson.
persuasive in her writing, and she's very knowledgeable. And I'm not saying Kagan isn't, but she's just a little too bland for me.
Yeah.
Bland for me. It doesn't catch attention, which that's just, I mean, we're in this society. It's like clips and quick, and, you know, you've got to be, you know, something that grabs attention.
So now we are out of the Obama era appointees. We are moving on to President Donald Trump appointees. We have Justice Neil Gorsuch. He went to, can we guess, Harvard Law School.
Oh, damn, it's 50-50. I got it wrong.
Harvard. He went to Harvard. He was appointed by Donald Trump in 2017. And, I mean, what do we know about Gorsuch? He claims to be a civil libertarian, but I mean, what is libertarian?
He's pompous ass, if you ask me. I mean, he is. He just thinks he's just the coolest shit. And you know, he's a smart guy. Obviously, he wouldn't have elevated to the position he's at had he not been. He went to Columbia, Harvard, Oxford. I mean, he's clearly educated, clearly a critical thinker, clearly smart, but he's also arrogant. And I think that the majority of the time, I think he rules how I disagree with him. Let's just say that.
I don't know. He's a skeptic of a lot of, you know, separation.
He's one of those. Him and Roberts, I think, pretend that they're like, oh, we're so neutral, and then, but no. But then they always lean to the right, and it's like becoming quite apparent. You're right.
They say that they're
not right in the sense of correct, right in the sense of political affiliation.
They call themselves constitutionalists or originalists, but there is nothing originalist or constitutionalist.
Well, when you start rolling them back and like deleting them.
When you read the plain language, does it say that this is just for white people? No, it doesn't. But that's how they're applying it. Anyway, next up we've got Brett Kavanaugh.
We all know about him, right? Well, what strikes me the most is that it was...
well, who appointed him first?
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was Heidi Heitkamp, I believe. She lost her election after her vote. But one thing that struck me is that prior to her vote, she said, what I like to do is I like to watch their confirmation hearing without the volume on. So I can assess their demeanor. Because whether you like it or not, judges' demeanor is important. They're supposed to be neutral. They're not even supposed to make a facial. I mean, honestly, they're supposed to be like completely neutral. And if you watch it, he was, you know, crying and just so, and she said that's what changed her mind. And I thought that was so interesting. She lost her election. I can't remember. It was a higher Midwest state. I can't remember, not Minnesota, but I don't know, one of those up there. But, and I'm not great at geography, so I think it's up there. But anyways, but I commend her for standing her ground to do that. But I'm not a fan of Kavanaugh. I think that there's a lot of shady shit that went on. Like he had like $2 million or something in debt that was paid off. And I remember speaking to someone that I was close to at the time, and I mentioned that, and they're like, so what? And I'm like, what do you mean, so what?
Where do you get all that money?
I mean, my husband works in the federal government, and he does a background check every so many years, and the majority of what that's looking for is, are you compromisable, right? Is there, and debt comes into it, because if you're leveraged and someone can influence you by getting you unleveraged, that's a negative. So he's obviously a lower level compared to the president and the Supreme Court, but why is he held to that standard?
Also, by the way, I just want to preface that the fact, like, so we're introducing the players on the Supreme Court now, and we're then, after this, we're going to get into the big case right now that's impacting, you know, all Hispanics and Latinos in America. How Brett Kavanaugh, in his, concurring opinion, literally said that it is okay if race, the way that you speak, the language you speak, where you are, anything racial profiling is okay. He is the one. He wrote a concurring opinion. He said that.
As long as it's not the only thing. But we all know that's the only thing they're doing.
As long as it's
what
not
else
alone.
do they look? And if you argue it's something else, please put it in the comments. What else are they looking at? Because they're basically coming up, they're fucking coming up, you know, slamming on the brakes, open the doors. Y'all seen Old School when they're, you know, that's what it is, right? And if it's not based on your race or how you speak or how you look, what is it? What are they basing it on in that 2 seconds that they're making that decision?
No, it's just another white man saying that it's okay to profile you because I don't want you in my country. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and it's just like, look, I'm okay with, like, if you want to have that opinion that you don't think anybody in the country should be but white, I don't give a shit.
But you
honestly.
shouldn't be in power,
but
because
you should, the weight of the law should not be behind you. That's my only argument. I don't give a shit what you. I may not agree with you. I may not want to associate with you or whatever. But that's fine. You're allowed to believe what you want to believe, but when the weight of the government is behind it is where we get a problem.
Yes. All right, next up, we move to our only justice who did not go to Harvard or